welcome back to Gotta Be Me podcast. We're so excited to be here again with you today. We're your hosts. My name is Sophia, and this is my cousin, Peyton.
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. If you are new here, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll appreciate it so very much.
It is Black History Month, and me and Peyton have been working on learning more about our Black history. We've been wanting to teach it to our students, so we've been at home. We've been listening to Malcolm X speeches and Googling different leaders and different people who worked in the Civil Rights Movement.
Searching for all the free worksheets that you can find on the internet.
You best believe. And we're printing them out and we're handing them out. And it's really enjoyable for us. But we also feel like there's no way for us, me and Peyton, personally, to talk about history of any kind. And since we're talking about Black history it is. And me and Peyton feel like it is impossible for us to talk about Black history without talking about it from a perspective of prophecy. And we feel like it's impossible to talk about prophecy without talking about Revelation.
I feel like most people would be shocked to hear that. I feel like people think that Revelation is so abstract. It's so out there. There's dragons and smoke and scorpions and tails. And everyone's just like, what is it even talking about? I feel like literally church people act like it's a plague and refuse to get deep into it.
Refuse to really
serious.
Study Revelation.
Yeah.
And if they do, they interpret it pretty literally, but pretty far in the future. That's gonna happen one day. We never.
So they don't
in 1,000 years
actually deal with it line upon line, precept upon precept. They don't. Yes.
From a foundation of the rest of the scriptures.
And to me, that shows to me that's a religious emergency, because Revelation is so vital to understanding where you are in space and time. And as a religious person, I feel like not knowing where you are in time is one of the most dangerous things. That's how the Pharisees lost out on their salvation.
Right.
They refused to realize what time they were living in. No, this is the time when the Messiah
and they kept putting it in
coming.
The future. They said,
no, he's still coming. He's still coming. And they missed out on their Messiah.
Right.
And they are not in heaven today because of that.
That's why they became evil. They ended up stoning the they had their father stoned the prophets.
And they had the right history, right? Like, they knew that Torah inside and out.
They had the scriptures memorized.
They wrote it, they knew it, there were scribes, there were all sorts of people. But when it came to actually falling in line and understanding where they were in their place and time and allowing the man of God to touch them and to deal with them, that's when they balked and they lost out on their salvation, which is why I feel like it's such an emergency to know your history and prophecy together.
We need to talk about Revelation right now. We need to talk about Revelation yesterday. The amount of prophetic information that it gives us, and that's the thing. That's another thing about Revelation. It gives us the prophecy of all time, pretty much. It's almost like it sums up the Bible. We have the whole Bible, and then Revelation kind of gives us a summary of the whole. What we just read. I think of the first chapter where it talks about Jesus Christ being Alpha and Omega,
the beginning.
Which we know means the beginning and the ending. It's the first and last letter of the Greek alphabet. And we just feel like Revelation gives us the prophecy. It connects us to the first prophecy and takes us all the way through time to our time. And what I was trying to say was, though, that it has especially a lot of prophecies about our time.
Yes.
Specific to our time, detailed, clear, defined. Peyton and I feel like we specifically have to deal with all things history and all things prophetic from a standpoint of Revelation, because it is the foundation for so much of our learning. That's the vantage point from which we learned it. Some of my personal earliest memories are in family devotion time, Dad getting out a big Revelation chart.
I had a mini one.
You do.
There it is. It's a mini one.
It's actually so interesting to just pour over.
It's actually so good in detail.
Especially as a child. When you're a child, you're so fascinated. And we would hover over it, at the table. And we're like, Dad, what's this? And what's that beast? And what's that represent? And Dad would interact with us
And by the time you're 13 and you know every single thing on here, you feel so special about it, right? And I know this means and that means. It's all this abstract art, right? You start feeling so special.
And we learned about it in Sunday schools. We learned about it with our teachers. We learned about it in school, and we learned about it in service. We've had so much understanding of Revelation taught to us all our lives, and so much that we've ourselves have studied on. That it's just given us a foundation for.
It's the same way for me. My earliest memories with Steph was my pastor since I was 4, whatever. I remember him having us count the beasts. You count after me. If you read through the chapters of Revelation, you'll find out that there's 8 beasts all the way to Revelation chapter 17. And he would have us count 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and he would have us repeat, this is the kingdom of Babylon, Babylon, Medo-Persian, Grecian, Roman, on and on. And we would just go and go until we had it all pretty much memorized. And I feel like I don't know where you're trying to go from here, but when it comes to understanding history through that vantage point and understanding the struggle of oppression down through time, when you look at those beastly systems, it gives us a picture of how evilness works and the perfection of evilness and the 8th beast. And when we look at a lot of the topics we've been talking about Protestantism and Christianity that was used to abuse and Christianity that was used to oppress and the different ways. Why is there father absenteeism? We work in the schools. We see all these different sorts of things. And when you wonder about all those things and then you go to Revelation and you find the 8th beast and you see, oh, this beast is going to fall down. And then you wonder, how is it going to fall down? And all those sorts of things. To me, like, how can you even solve problems without understanding this, the 8th beast? How can you even, why do you even want to talk about problems in the world today? Tons of problems that we have been talking about. How do you even talk about that without the understanding of Revelation chapter 17, of Revelation chapter 18?
It's actually completely discouraging if you don't have the prophecy, because it's like, okay, we have these problems, of race, but even beyond that, oppression. Like, before there was whatever kind of racism that we're dealing with today, before the issue was black and white, there was some sort of classism, some sort of something that was oppressing other people. And if we look back, as far as we can see, there's always been that. And as far as we can tell, without prophecy, there always will be. Like, what's going to stop the oppression?
Yeah, because carnal nature, human, on and on, right?
So, and we did a recent podcast about prophecy, and we talked about the first prophecy in Genesis 3:15 and the battle of the 2 seeds. And I feel like it's just really clearly outlined. That battle is really clearly outlined in Revelation. And then the final and biggest battle, which is, to me, obviously reserved for the end of time, Revelation gives special focus to that. And we believe is specific to our time as being the end of times. And if you look at Revelation, it's crazy how it lines up. Not just what they describe as going on, and then you can see it going on now, not in 1,000 years. Okay, we don't believe in an actual red dragon with 7 heads that's gonna come up out of the earth.
For real though.
We don't believe in a beast that's coming up out of the sea. Not literal. This is figurative. This is spiritual language. This is
symbology, right?
Right. It's Christ drawing a picture through John. Christ and John working together to draw
and the angel, right?
And the angel, which
There's
is like,
angel.
we're gonna come back to that. And not only do the pictures line up so beautifully with what's going on now, but even the numbers, when it talks about times and half a times and the 1,000 and 2 whatever. I'm not quoting the numbers exactly correctly, but it gives us like actual dates that, like, if you go back and you look at what was happening in history, because at this point, when John wrote the Revelation, it was it was pretty much all a prophecy. Some of it was talking about his time, things that already happened. He says in one part, one is fallen, one is. And so some of it had happened in his time, but most of it was prophecy. Well, in our time, which we believe is the end of time, and we believe we could show through scripture is the end of time, most of Revelation is now history, right?
Yeah, I think that's when Revelation started getting really interesting for me. Whenever I had a really great history / Bible teacher, Sister Caitlin Braun, and she would teach history along with the Revelation, and I got to write in my Bible, okay, so and so, it was King Henry V whenever this was happening, okay, and that's why
a crazy connection.
There was, and especially during the half an hour of silence in Revelation chapter 8, verse 1 through 6-ish, something like that. Understanding the history through that silence and what was going on throughout that time, to me, that's when it became really, what do you call it when something pops out? That's when it became really, starts with a V.
Oh, I don't know what word you're looking for.
When a picture really pops.
Vibrant?
Yes. That is when the Revelation became very vibrant to me, and not simply just something I should know. And like, knowledge to me was impressive. It still is impressive, like, to be able to just say knowledge like that. So I kind of liked it just to have it in my head. But that's when it really became like, oh, this is concrete as well. This isn't just knowledge just to have.
I had a similar experience when I was between the ages of 9 to 12, I had an amazing Sunday school teacher, Brother Patrick O'Shea, and he taught us a lot about the beasts. And he started breaking down. We started with the beasts in Revelation. In Daniel, which we know are the first 4 beasts, and we'll have to get into more. But he started breaking down. Okay, this kingdom was represented by a lion. And it was and if you think about the kingdom of Babylon, how it was at that time, it was very fierce, like a lion. It had wings of an eagle. And the reason it had wings of an eagle was because it flew far and high, and it was a large kingdom. And he started and I was like, oh, this is genius. Like the way the scriptures are
put together, right?
Yeah, the way it's written, the pictures that are drawn are so accurate. And it was a prophecy. It hadn't happened yet. And then it did. It happened just like the vision that was given to John and Daniel said it would happen,
Yes, Revelation is definitely one of my favorite books of the Bible. It is my favorite book of the Bible. Too. Yeah.
And you can't really say there's a most important book of the Bible, maybe, but you could.
Revelation contains all of the Bible in it, so it's
it almost feels like
you almost can't say.
And then it says so much about our personal time. We need it so badly.
It feels very most vital. Okay, but we're not going to offend anyone, so we're not. We didn't actually say that.
It is.
Okay, so
but it is our favorite. That shouldn't offend.
Next week, I think it'd be interesting to get into more of why we feel like to find the answers through prophecy, through history, through Revelation, you have to view things through the African American lens and through the African American perspective. I feel like that's going to be a big topic to tackle, and it might take us a little more than 1 week to work through, but share your thoughts on that statement. I feel like it's pretty bold and it could be offensive to a large group of people, but I feel like it's pretty inclusive once we would get into it.
Understand what that means.
Once we would get into it. And I feel like it would help people to understand why we have to build up in this sort of fashion, and that kind of explains some of the reason why can we talk about blackness, why can we talk about this, why can we talk about the other, right? Because this is where we come from, and this is where our understanding is stemming from.
Right. We are super excited because Brother Steph, Brother Randy, my dad, and Brother Addison, who we've all had on the podcast before, have now started their own Revelation podcast YouTube channel coming February 22nd. We are so thrilled about it. Me and Peyton want to talk about Revelation, but this is going to be our journey through Revelation, our understanding, and we're young and we're learning, and this is going to be, their show is going to be a different experience because
these are the wizards of Revelation.
Yes, they're the people that we learned it from. We'll drop a link down in the comments or under the video or whatever. And please go check out their channel, subscribe, get ready for some amazing revelations about the Revelation.
Yes.
It's outstanding. And me and Peyton also plan to watch it along with you all. So maybe we'll be able to talk about it some of the podcast, the things that I'm sure we're still going to be learning and gleaning from. You all know what time it is. Peace, love, and hair grease.